Welcome back. Colorado Springs not only made the New York Times prestigious 52 places to visit in 2020 list, we're near the top.
Yes, we are. The article on why to visit lists some of our major attractions, but also some of our unique local small businesses. Bill Folsom here with some reaction tonight. Bill.
The New York Times, it is a publication with national and global reach. Quite a few people knew the New York Times had been asking around. They were not expecting this. Google it. New York Times, 52 places to go 2020. Photos intended to kindle the desire to travel. South America, Asia, Africa, and not far from the top at number 13, Colorado Springs.
Having the New York Times come into Colorado Springs, talk about what we're doing, it just goes to show the progression and the direction that we're heading right now.
Brother Luck is a chef and owner of the downtown eatery 4. He's talking about the places to go list because the article mentions his small business. It also talks about the small bakery Nightingale. The little guys mentioned along with the larger attractions of Colorado Springs.
Not only does it bring the Broadmoor along and it brings the Olympic Museum, but restaurants like mine, bakeries like Nightingale, who knows who else that they visited. This is something that's huge for our city.
He says what's good for him should also be good for other small businesses that'll be spotted as visitors wander downtown.
As we bring each other along.
The tentacles of tourism are almost immeasurable.
Doug Price leads Visit Colorado Springs. Colorado Springs has been on a lot of best of lists. This one is a league of its own.
This one surprised us pleasantly because it's the New York Times.
This is an independent ranking, but as for the question why Colorado Springs, Price thinks new attractions like the future Summit House on Pikes Peak and the nearly complete Olympic Museum likely contributed.
You always ask the question, why would I go? What's new to enjoy?
Well, they're hoping that'll bring people to see what's new. What does this mean for tourism? Well, there's not a crystal ball, but you can expect plenty of people visiting in the year ahead.
This is your First Alert 5 weather with Mike Daniels.
Full moon on a Friday night in January. It's called the Wolf Moon, but boy, is it ever cold out there. 21, but on the thermometer, 21. But with the wind factored in, it feels like 8 degrees above zero out there. 28 in Pueblo, the feels like index. The wind chill is 18 degrees. If you're going skiing this weekend, your timing is impeccable. 6 inches of fresh powder, Steamboat, Monarch, Snowmass. Out to Telluride, wax the wood, get up there and enjoy beautiful Colorado. Going to be a little more fresh snow throughout the weekend. Here's what's going on right now. Very quiet out there. Dry over the Springs, dry Pueblo. We'll stay dry for the rest of the night. It was snowing and blowing out across the eastern plains earlier this afternoon. Right now, the only snow we've got here across the viewing area, south on I-25, Colorado City, going just about south of Apache City right now and then back west up into the foothills, Rye, getting a little bit of light snow. That stuff will probably be history here within the next 60 to 90 minutes. Around here tomorrow, we're going to start really cold, even at 8 a.m. still only in the teens despite sunshine. Take a look at this. By 11 tomorrow morning, still below freezing across the Springs and Pueblo. We'll recover nicely during the afternoon hours as the wind kicks in, and it will snow across the mountains. Some of the ridge tops of the Rockies could get maybe 2 to 3 inches of snow by late tomorrow night. Meanwhile, we will be dry here across eastern Colorado throughout the day. Enjoy the calm conditions early tomorrow morning. I think during the afternoon that wind is going to fire up once again out of the west. We can expect gusts across the Springs and Pueblo 20 to 25 miles per hour. Strong and gusty across some of the southern mountains and some of the southern foothills. This model also brings in some pretty stiff wind tomorrow from northern El Paso County back into Teller and Park counties as well. Wind finally dying off a little after sunset tomorrow evening. Walking the dog this weekend, I say why not? You get the green light both Saturday and Sunday, but breezy to windy both days. Temperatures today unseasonably cold for the first time during the new year. Pueblo 44, there's average 47. In the Springs we topped out at 37 today, an average high this time of year 43 degrees. Outside right now cold and only going to get colder throughout the night tonight. Low temperatures will drop down into the single digits in many areas. With the wind chill right now, some of the coldest air is across the valley right now. The current feels like index in La Junta is 12 degrees. Overnight low temperatures tonight, single digits up and down I-20 I-25 from Pueblo to the Springs, Monument, Woodland Park, you'll drop all the way down to 1 degree tonight. We've got clear skies out there, no real wind, so no mixing in the atmosphere. That's why it's going to be such a cold night tonight. Afternoon highs tomorrow close to what we had today. Temperatures into the 40s across most parts of southeastern Colorado. If you're going to be watching us from northern El Paso County tomorrow, you'll want to get outside early in the day, at least once that chill wears off, because the wind is really going to kick in during the afternoon hours. Gusts up there from 25 to occasionally 30 miles per hour. I hope you have a great weekend, no matter what you've got on the docket in Colorado Springs. Weekend warming trend on the way. Look out for that wind, though. Going to see wind in the forecast Monday through at least Wednesday. It could stick around late in the week as well. Temperatures very consistent, steady diet of 40s each and every one of those days. In Pueblo, really a no worries weather pattern considering it's January in Colorado. We could be really cold this time of the year, but no Arctic air to be found anywhere. Temperatures 40s and 50s, but again, wind is going to be in the forecast off and on for at least the next 7 days. You'll see sunshine each and every one of those days, and morning lows certainly on the cold side, as you would expect this time of the year. Canyon City precipitation opportunities 0 for the next 7 days. That's not all that uncommon in January. It's one of our drier months here in eastern Colorado. Temperatures will be in the 40s and 50s throughout the extended period. Woodland Park, I've got you flake free for the next 7 days. Temperatures into the 30s and 40s with sunshine each and every one of those days, but it's also going to be windy each and every one of those days. Look at drive times right now. No major problems up and down I-25 from Colorado Springs to Denver or Colorado Springs south to Pueblo. Look at that. No major accidents right now. Even I-25 northbound throughout the downtown area. Current speed, one above the limit right there, folks. Slower down. 66 is the current speed on I-25 northbound. That's a live look I-25 at Motor City. Flowing smoothly, guys.
Mike, thanks. In our continuing coverage, an arrest tonight in a brazen case of vandalism we told you about this week of ice sculptures in Vail. That woman, 22-year-old Catherine Gal Creedle of Golden, turning herself in, now facing felony criminal mischief charges. Surveillance video was released from multiple locations in Vail shortly after the sculptures were attacked, one of them being kicked, causing it to fall and break. The video alleged to be Creedle and 2 others. Damage from that incident estimated at about $2,000 at least.
Also new tonight, the 2 men who pleaded guilty to trespassing at Old Faithful in Yellowstone are now sentenced. 20-year-old Eric Shefflin of Golden, 25-year-old Ryan Goetz sentenced to 10 days in jail. The 2 are banned from the park for 5 years and will also be on unsupervised probation during that time. Another Colorado man, Gabriel Villalva of Greeley, also cited for walking off boardwalks and within a few feet of Old Faithful back in September.
New at 6, Pueblo code enforcement had a busy year. Stats show the amount of complaints, including litter, weeds, junk vehicles, nearly doubled the past year. 10,000 complaints. Citizen citation numbers also up. Code enforcement says one of the big reasons, well, they have more officers and they're taking a more proactive approach.
And they go in and they just start canvassing. They're walking the blocks, they're walking through alleys, they're talking with people and issuing notices for every violation on the block that they see. That's something that we have not had the opportunity to do before. We just didn't have the staffing to do.
And some of the team's goals for this year is to hire more officers and get more people on the abatement crew. Happening now, crews wrapping up work because tomorrow a major trail connecting the Springs west side will reopen.
Foothills Trail in Garden of the Gods has been closed since the end of July. It's part of the Camp Creek flood mitigation project. Crews worked on native vegetation along the trail, and the new improvements helped connect neighborhoods.
Many of the neighborhoods on the northwest side to Garden of the Gods Park, as well as to the trail system, the Midland Trail that connects folks to Manitou Springs and to downtown.
And the drainage project should be done by the end of March. Looking ahead for you tomorrow, the National Western Stock Show rolls back into Denver. The part fair, part livestock show, part rodeo, part trade show offers a taste of old Denver right on the boundary of neighborhoods that represent the city's evolution. Last year, more than 700,000 guests attended the event. This year marks 114 years. It lasts through the 26th.
Up next at 6, think you've noticed something unusual in the sky lately? Well, you're not alone. Some possible explanations on those sightings up above.
And the search for the man who stole a puppy from a Colorado woman is ongoing. What she says happened.
He seemed like a normal guy.
Covering Colorado, a Commerce City family is frightened and angry after a man stole a puppy they were selling from their home.
Tonight, Adorable Face is missing a stolen sibling. The family inviting the man to their Henderson home to see the Pomeranians that were just 8 weeks old. Well, after picking out a pup, he asked for the vaccination record and then said he wanted to take the dog back to his wife and daughter who were in the car so they could see it because he wanted to take the baby out of the car seat.
When he came up to the car, the back door of the car was open. There was 2 people in the front. He got in and started yelling, "Go, go, go." And I was holding onto the door because I didn't want him to close the door, but they were driving so fast I couldn't do anything.
Now, she says she called 911 3 times, but police never showed up.
I don't feel safe. I feel as though anyone can come into my house and steal, do it again.
And that suspect described as 5'5", no eyebrows or facial hair, with a tattoo around his neck and chin, another above where his right eyebrow would be. He was driving a black 4-door sedan, newer vehicle with temporary plates. The new year means a new crew of astronauts for NASA. 11 new astronauts graduated at Johnson Space Center in Houston. It's the first class of astronaut candidates to graduate under the Artemis program. After completing more than 2 years of basic training, now that group will be eligible for assignments to the International Space Station, missions to the moon, and even Mars.
Speaking of space, a teenager recently made an out-of-this-world discovery during a NASA internship. 17-year-old Wolf Kukier being credited with discovering a new planet.
Wow.
Some 1,300 light years from Earth. The teen says he was just sifting through data from NASA's Transiting Exoplanet Survey satellite, because that's what interns do, when he thought what was an anomaly in that data turned out to be an undiscovered planet. And it's not small, gang, clocking in at nearly 7 times the size of Earth and orbiting 2 stars.
I wrote a couple news scripts when I was an intern, you know.
Yeah, I never discovered a planet or
Yeah.
anything. I found the bathroom really quick,
That's
but
good.
Anyway, I digress. All right, if you're not alone, you've noticed something unusual in the skies lately. We're not talking about those drones, by the way.
No, not this time. The National UFO Reporting Center received nearly 6,000 reports of unidentified flying objects last year alone. That's almost double from the year before. As to the reason behind the increase, a few theories say Venus and Jupiter were more visible last year, and SpaceX launched 180 satellites.
Still ahead at 6:30, alcohol taking a real toll on Americans. What the new numbers are revealing, that's in your Health Watch.
And if you thought it was really toasty this past summer, you're not wrong. What new data reveals right now.
Always watching out for you. This is KOAA News 5 at 6:30.
And we're starting off at 6:30 with a traffic alert.
Yeah, if your weekend plans include heading back and forth to Denver, you need to hear this.
Starting Saturday night, CDOT will completely shut down a stretch of I-25 near Larkspur for 16 hours. It's part of the ongoing GAP construction project. Crews will shift all traffic off and back on I-25 north and southbound lanes for construction work. Crews say you should expect to spend an extra 45 minutes in traffic during peak travel times. All lanes will be back open by 11 Sunday morning.
Now to our Capitol Watch, President Trump says the Iranian general taken out in that U.S. drone strike was actually planning to attack 4 U.S. embassies.
The news comes as new crippling economic sanctions were imposed on Tehran in response to this week's missile strikes against U.S. forces in Iraq.
And there appears to be a breakthrough in the stalled impeachment process. Here's Alice Barr in Washington.
The White House today launching a new round of economic warfare, announcing crippling sanctions against Iran.
To stop the Iranian regime's global terrorist activities.
While at the same time defending the military strike that took out Iran's top general, Qasem Soleimani. President Trump offering this new justification at a campaign rally last night.
Soleimani was actively planning new attacks, and he was looking very seriously at our embassies, and not just the embassy in Baghdad.
Secretary of State Mike Pompeo, previously vague about the threat, today echoing the president.
And those threat stream included attacks on U.S. embassies. Period. Full stop.
A wave of lawmakers now questioning why that information was not included in classified briefings.
There was not any mention of anything specific such as that.
Secretary Pompeo claiming it was.
We did.
So the senators are lying
when they say that we told them about the imminent threat, all of the intelligence that we've briefed.
He wasn't at the same briefing I was. I did not hear what he just said.
On this vote.
And after the House issued a sharp but largely symbolic rebuke last night, passing a war powers resolution to limit President Trump's military actions in Iran, today Speaker Nancy Pelosi saying she plans to send articles of impeachment to the Senate as soon as next week, clearing the way for a trial to begin later this month.
We want a fair trial, and that's what this has always been about.
Pelosi writing every senator now faces a choice to be loyal to the president or the Constitution. Alice Barr, NBC News, Washington.
Speaker Pelosi says she'll consult with her colleagues next week about when to hand over the articles of impeachment and to decide who will prosecute in that Senate trial.
And Senate Majority Leader Mitch McConnell saying they are ready to start the trial and will do so as soon as possible.
Springs police looking for suspects after a coffee shop is being targeted by robbers. Babe's Espresso. It's along East Pikes Peak. This morning, a man tried to hold up a barista, but she shut the window and went in another room, and the suspect took off. On Wednesday, a suspect also approached the drive-up window with a gun before taking off with an undisclosed amount of money.
A nice warm welcome for American firefighters in Sydney as those wildfires continue to devastate Australia. More than 250 first responders from around the world heading down under as tens of thousands more people forced from their homes tonight. The firefighters will manage air operations and logistics as well as battle the flames. More hot, dry, windy weather expected to fan the flames the next few days. So far, more than 24 people have died, thousands of homes destroyed, hundreds of millions of animals' lives have been affected. Well, new information tonight. If you spent a lot of time outside last summer, you might have noticed a trend. It was hot.
New information revealing 2019 was the second hottest year ever recorded for average global temps. Only 2016 was hotter. In Australia, 2019 was the hottest year ever, and the temps have been a big factor in those raging wildfires there. One European climate monitoring organization says last decade was also the hottest since record keeping started. Watching out for your health, a new study finding alcohol-related deaths are increasing at an alarming rate in the United States. That's because the number of Americans who have died from alcohol-related problems have more than doubled since between 1999 and 2017. And experts say that number is probably an undercount. Scientists figure the number of alcohol-related deaths increased more than 50% over that time frame. In 2017 alone, nearly 3% of about 2.8 million deaths in the U.S. were alcohol-related. Nearly half resulted from liver disease or overdoses on alcohol alone or mixed with other drugs. The largest annual increase in deaths among non-Hispanic white women.
Well, if you're one of the 30 million Americans who snore or have trouble breathing at night, well, your tongue may be why. People with sleep apnea could see improvements by losing fat in their tongue. Do some tongue rolls, possibly some tongue crunches. Researchers used MRI to see how weight loss actually affected the upper airway in obese people. They found reducing tongue fat by losing your overall body fat was a key factor in improving sleep health. And tonight, there's some new hope if you love dogs, but you suffer from allergies.
That's because you might only be allergic to male dogs. New testing shows about 30% of people who report having a dog allergy are really only allergic to a protein made in a dog's prostate. The FDA recently approved skin and blood tests that would look for that protein. After the break, planning that summer getaway when you might want to book that trip that could save you some cash. That's in our Consumer Watch.
New numbers tonight show the U.S. economy added another 145,000 jobs last month. That's 100,000 fewer than in November, but about 40,000 less than the average over the last 3 months, but still enough to keep unemployment at 3.5%, which is an historic low. The retail sector helping those numbers, adding 41,000 for the busy holiday shopping season. Experts say as long as the economy adds about 100,000 jobs every month, that's enough to keep up with population growth. Right now, raising the minimum wage, a hot topic on the campaign trail, and a new study shows it could be an issue of life or death.
Researchers finding a connection between states raising minimum wage and a drop in suicide rates among less educated workers. They say for every dollar the wage went up, suicide rates would drop by 6% in that group. If you or someone you know needs help, you can always reach out to the National Suicide Prevention Lifeline. That's 1-800-273-8255.
Well, if you felt a little crowded at U.S. airports this holiday season, turns out you were.
The Transportation Security Administration saying they saw a record-breaking number of travelers during the end-of-year holiday period. They screened close to 44 million passengers and crew members from December 19th to January 5th. The busiest day, Friday, December 27th. With more than 2.6 million travelers passing through security checkpoints nationwide. On an average weekday, TSA screens about 2 million travelers. As for those dreaded wait times, on average, passengers waited less than half an hour. Speaking travel, we're watching out for your wallet tonight.
It's that time of year when many of us start thinking about escaping to some warmer climates, but how can you make getting there the best deal? Well, the CEO of Fare Compare has rounded up the best days and dates to get the most bang for your buck. Says the cheapest days to fly domestically from now until the end of February. Can't get away right now? Well, look for flights on Tuesdays, Wednesdays, and Thursdays for the best deals. And if you have to wait until summer to travel, prices will start to creep back up, we're told, around June 4th. Big spike expected June 22nd.
After 2 weeks off, the Colorado College men's hockey team is back on the ice, preparing for tonight's showdown with Miami. The Tigers talk second half hockey and sports. But first, here's Mike.
There's one word in the extended forecast that just won't go away, and that word is wind. Coming up, I'll tell you just how long that wind is going to stick around. You were watching News 5 at 6:30. There's Ashley right there. She's been sick all week, but fighting through it to help us in the studio, getting the job done. What a trooper. Thank you so much. Right there, everybody. Welcome back to News 5 at 6:30. We had snow to the west of the Springs today, snow to the east of the city. Had some pretty good snow across far southeastern Colorado, but dry here across Colorado Springs and Pueblo today. Here's how bad that wind was, as predicted, between 30 and 35 miles per hour up and down the I-25 corridor. The worst of the wind was out across the far eastern plains. Lamar had a gust at 38 miles per hour. You can see those snow bands were pretty strong across far southeastern Colorado earlier this afternoon. Watch this area right here as we loop that right there. Snowing and blowing because they had that wind to go along with it. Right now, really quiet out there. A couple of leftover snowflakes between Colorado City, Apache City, all the way back to Highway 69. That stuff is going to be history around here over the next 60 minutes. For your Saturday, we start really cold. 8 a.m. we'll have sunshine, but temperatures still into the teens. Even by 11:30 tomorrow morning, below freezing across Colorado Springs and Pueblo. It is going to snow tomorrow across the ridge tops of the Rockies. Not a big storm by any means, but if you're going to be traveling westbound, you will encounter some snow flurries and some wind up there as well. Even tomorrow evening after sunset, snow anywhere from 2 to 3 inches across the high mountains of Colorado. Wind is going to flare up tomorrow afternoon, so enjoy those calm conditions tomorrow morning. Anywhere from gusts from 20 to 25 miles per hour for the Springs and Pueblo tomorrow afternoon out of the west. Strong winds across northern El Paso County, Teller County, all the way down into the southern foothills as well. Today, our first day during the new year that the highs have been unseasonably cold. 44 in Pueblo, just a little cooler than 47. In the Springs, we topped at 37 today. Average this time of year is 43 degrees. Warm spot in the state today right there, eastern Fremont County. Canyon City came in at 45 degrees this afternoon. Outside right now, we've got teens and 20s. It is cold and only going to get colder around here. We'll drop to 7 degrees tonight in both Colorado Springs and Pueblo. Monument, an overnight low temperature of 3 degrees. So watch for below. Alamosa, 13 degrees below zero tonight. Afternoon highs tomorrow. Not looking bad on the thermometer into the 40s, but when that wind kicks up tomorrow afternoon, it is going to feel colder than that. Hope you have a good weekend no matter what you've got planned.